I could barely read the last words anymore. My vision had become so blurry. My cheeks were soaked, and my hands trembled so hard they nearly made the manuscript shake. I had originally planned to study for my university entrance exam today, but after reading Mike's story, I simply couldn't bring myself to do it anymore. A few minutes later, while I was still sitting on Mike's bed, rereading both his story and the letters once again, I suddenly heard a soft knock that pulled me back to reality. "Yeah?" Nancy opened the door, holding a plate of mashed potatoes and meatballs in her hands, and asked, "Can I come in?" I nodded. "Sure." Slowly, she stepped into the room. "Mom wanted me to bring you something to eat. You weren't downstairs for breakfast." "Yeah, sorry, What's that?" Mike's older sister interrupted me and looked over at the red box filled with letters, mixtapes, and comics. "Oh, nothing. Just old keepsakes and some letters Mike wrote me back when I was living in California. I was bored, so I started rereading them." "Oh, Mike wrote you all those letters?" I nodded. "Wow, that's really a lot. But honestly, that doesn't surprise me at all," Nancy said, while staring at the huge pile of letters stacked inside the box. "No? Why not?" Nancy crossed her arms over her chest and smiled thoughtfully. "Because he missed you like crazy. He practically stopped leaving the basement because, and I quote, 'I can't risk missing a phone call from Will. He constantly complained to us about how badly he wanted to move to California so you wouldn't have to be alone after what happened to you as a kid. And I tried explaining to him back then that you'd probably make new friends, but he refused to hear any of it.' My heart skipped a beat. You have no idea how often he cried after you came back from the Upside Down and started having those nightmares. Mike kept asking me if I remembered the Upside Down the same way you did and what he could do to make you feel better again. You were always his favorite friend." I felt heat rising to my face. "And when you went to that party a few years ago, he acted the exact same way. I tried telling him that you'd survive just fine without him, but he gets really clingy when it comes to you. I honestly think he's terrified of losing you again ever since you disappeared back then. I really think it traumatized him." Nancy suddenly interrupted herself and asked, "Have you been crying?" "Oh no, I'm just tired," I lied quickly. Nancy didn't answer, though she looked a little skeptical. "Anyway," she continued, "he also whined to me nonstop 2 years ago when you were studying for your high school finals and didn't have as much time for him anymore. It was always, 'Will doesn't have time for me anymore. Will doesn't want to see me anymore. Will's gonna forget about me once he lives in New York. Will." She laughed softly. "Honestly, I'm not surprised he only lasted a week without you, before visiting you and dragging you back to Hawkins with him again. To be honest, you should be careful he doesn't completely claim you for himself. That kind of thing isn't healthy in a friendship." I couldn't help but smile, because involuntarily, I thought back to last night, to the way Mike had made me promise that I belonged only to him,